Hey everybody, this is Catherine Hinkle, the Schoolyard Ecology Program Coordinator here at Harvard Forest. So I wanted to make you guys a couple of screencasts to just give you some reminders about how to enter in your data. So you're watching this screencast if you are one of the educators in our program. You've been collecting data with your students with one of our protocols, maybe in the fall or in the spring, and now you're ready to enter it into our database. And I'm hoping this will be a helpful supplement if you say weren't able to come to our data workshop for the training, or you just need a little refresher and it is helpful to see it. So I'm going to take you through some fake data entry. Don't worry, database manager, I'll delete it later. And to show you what to do, and then kind of show you a couple of the basics of how to graph. That will be a separate screencast. Okay, so let's say you are in the buds, leaves, and global warming protocol. You collected data with your students this fall on how the leaves on your study trees turned colors and fell off. And now you're like, all right, it's wintertime. Let's enter in our data. So you are going to go to Submit Data. That's your first step. Now, one thing, if you are a new teacher or educator to our program, you do need to actually let us know before you start entering data that it's time for you to enter data, because we'll need to make a site for you. So your very first step, if you're brand new to the program, is email me, call me. Likely you have my contact already, so that I can make a site for you. So that it'll be ready to go for you. So let's assume you've already done that. We'll select fall phenology because that's what I'm saying you're doing. And your second step after you've emailed me and you have let me know that you want to be entering data, you will need to create a field site. And I will have entered in a school for you. So I'm going to be picking, let's see, let's pretend that this school is a new one. This is the Albert F. Arganziano School in Somerville. So let's say that I'm a new teacher at that school. I will need to add a new field site. And I will enter in 1 through 999. So if you do want to have more than 1,000 field sites at your school, let us know. We'll work something out. Right now we can only accommodate up to 999 field sites at one place. So you will type in, 1, perhaps it's the second field site, but let's say this is the first. You'll want to do a second field site if there's like a couple of different teachers at your school, and maybe like you guys want to both use the same numbers for your trees, like you both want to use numbers 1 through 10. We'll want to make sure those have different site IDs then, or you can just have one site ID and like one class can use numbers 1 through 10, the other class can use, 11 through 20 or whatever. So let's say it's just 1, because this is the first one. We'll say it's the start, it's 2023. We'll leave the end year. You can say if you're on school property or not. You put in your latitude and longitude, your elevation. So you can get these things both from Google Maps or Google Earth. Can be ways of figuring that out. What town you're in, state, etc. If it's modified edge or natural, that can be helpful, and any site notes. And then you hit submit. You will then need to let us know that you've submitted it so that we can then upload it for your use. So let's assume you've gone through that process and it's time to enter the data. So fall phenology. And this time I'm going to go enter measurements. Now comes the fun part. So again, I'm sticking with my example of being at the Arganziano School in Somerville. And I'm going to pretend that I am Mr. Coughlin. I am not Mr. Coughlin, but this is the teacher that we have registered. So again, because you'll have told us which teachers are at which schools and which sites, we'll get that part all set for you so that you can just drag down. If there was another teacher at the Argenziano school that's not Mr. Coughlin, we can easily add that person in and then they can select. It's really good to make sure that you're only entering data in under your name so that if there is ever an issue with the data, we know who to contact. All right, so you can see Mr. Coughlin has actually already done an amazing job with his data from his students. But let's pretend we have another data we need to enter in. Again, don't worry, I'll delete this later. So we would put in the date. So I'm going to say that it's today's date. And I'm going to say this is tree number 78. And this is where you can pick the tree ID. Now, if you don't know what your tree is truly, you've done your best to identify, you can always do unidentified, but also always feel free to send us pictures of bark, twigs, leaves, and we are always happy to help you with that identification. But I'm going to pretend I don't know what this tree is because I don't, because it's a fake tree. So I'm going to have, I have 12 total leaves that I'm studying because I have 2 study branches on this unidentified fake tree that doesn't really exist. Now, some teachers have up to 4 branches on a tree if they have like a nice large tree and they've got a few groups of students looking at it. That's totally fine, but obviously this is going to be multiples of 6 because we always have you look at those 6 leaves on your branch. Now, at this point in the year, all of the leaves have fallen. So I'm going to say 12. One point of, information that often happens is that sometimes when we're entering data, we think that the total leaves and fallen leaves needs to equal 12, and it does not. So you want to have your total leaves always stay the same. So if you put in 12 at the beginning, unless there's been damage to the branch, you want to make sure that it is still 12 at the end of the season. That number doesn't go down. It's like the potential leaves you're studying. So even if those leaves have fallen, that total leaves number stays the same. It's just your fallen leaf number that increases. And you'll also put in whole tree color. So 0 to 25, 26 to 50, 51 to 75, 76 to 100. Or potentially you have a missing value, you forgot to have your students assess it on that visit. And then tree color, I'm going to say at this point, the tree color it's at 100%. All those leaves are turned and fallen. And you'll do this for every single time. So, most likely the minimum times you'll be doing this is you'll type this in 4 times for each tree because you'll need to put in this data for, once for every tree for every time you go out, which is a minimum of 4 times. And you will say, don't delete this record and submit. I will say, yes, delete this record and submit. Once you have done that, please email us. Let us know that all of your data is entered in. Do double check your data carefully, of course, and make sure that you do have everything double checked, that your total leaves have stayed the same and consistently per tree, and that you have each data sheet entered in. And then we'll get that uploaded into the database and ready for your use. All right, so stay tuned for some more exciting screencasts, but have a good one. I hope this one was helpful. Bye.